Happy Thursday, everybody. Andy and Steve from WagerTalk.com. We've got your road to millions on this August 31st. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're going to get you ready for Thursday's action. Not a lot going on in baseball. We are going to talk a player prop, and we're going to go over our fade of the day. We've got a UFC fighter that is absolute fade material, and then we got a nice sleeper to go over, paying at really, really nice plus money. When we talked about it yesterday, it was 12 to 1. Now it's down to 9 to 1. So we can still get a fantastic price on that. So let's get into it. Guys, if you could, please hit the like button if you like our gambling content. Please give us a like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm. And hopefully we made you guys a little bit of money. Yesterday, Steve, 1-1 in our fades. Really, kind of a blah. The White Sox blew our doors off, and Carlos Santana comes up short. So really not much. Any takeaways besides the Chicago White Sox making us look like complete buffoons, having one of their best offensive performances in the last few months?
Yeah, that was unreal. Baltimore scores 4 runs in the first inning, and you think like, okay,
We're off
sweet,
and running. We're off and
yeah,
running.
yeah. Not if the White Sox match them, in the second, and not if they score 7 runs in the second and third combined. And then the Orioles they couldn't get back onto. Cease was was in trouble. We talked about him walking tons of guys. He wasn't the walks though. He didn't walk anyone in that inning. He was just getting hit hard, and he was in trouble. They had him on the ropes. They couldn't finish him off in that inning, and then he just held them almost scoreless the rest of the way through. Yeah, it was a real letdown there. Nice call by you on Carlos Santana. He came up, got an extra at bat there at the end of the game, where the last inning the player in front of him walked, and he had another chance to go over there. But you've hit on that one. That was a good call.
Yeah, we got another baseball player we're going to talk about here in a second that is on an unsustainable streak, and I think he's due for an under. First, let's get to our fade of the day. This is for UFC Paris. It's probably a fighter that most of you don't know about, and that's kind of one thing we want to do here is bring up some teams and individuals that are off everyone's radar. So let's talk about Nora Cornolle. This fight card is in Paris, France. So if you're going to watch it, be ready. It starts at noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific on Saturday. So Nora Cornolle is fighting Jocelyn Edwards, and Jocelyn Edwards is UFC fighter, past her prime. She's not a great fighter. Like, she's won a bunch of fights by split decision. So her record could look really, really bad if one judge kind of changed the way. And she's fighting Nora Cornolle, who is not UFC caliber. She is just not even close to being ready. She has fought really, really weak competition on her feet, not very fast. Her feet are just they're not moving across the ring. They're not moving great side to side. They're a little bit stuck in mud. And on top of that, she's a low volume striker. So she's not fast and she doesn't throw a lot of strikes. In her last fight, the fight started. I thought it looked like the other fighter was going to be better than her. Nora Cornolle throws a little front kick. The opposing fighter blows out her knee early in the first round. So, okay, congratulations. You win that one. And then the fight before, the opponent actually takes Cornolle down early in the fight, but the fighter's so bad she kind of slips off. Cornolle lays on top of her and gets the finish. I mean, it looked really, really bad. So Jocelyn Edwards, she's not a great UFC fighter, but she's going to throw a lot of volume. She has a couple fights where she's landed over, or she's thrown over 100 strikes. This fight is going to take place on the feet. Cornolle's not going to wrestle. Jocelyn Edwards is not going to wrestle. And Edwards, for all her faults, she's going to throw way more punches. She's going to be faster. She's going to be bigger as well. Hopefully, both of them make weight. Jocelyn Edwards has had trouble making weight. Soon as that weight cut is over, Edwards is going to hydrate and just get a lot bigger. So she's going to be faster, better, stronger, and higher volume. And you're getting Jocelyn Edwards at minus 115 over Nora Cornolle. When UFC goes to like Paris or Australia, if you guys have watched UFC, if you remember Shannon Ross, an Australian fighter, he got a couple fights in the UFC that he did not deserve because one was in Australia, the other because his buddy Alexander Volkanovski was in the main event. he got torched in both of them. Early knocked out, KO'd in the early first round. This is one of those. They're over in Paris, France. So you're seeing some fighters that are not UFC caliber, and this is one of them. So Nora Cornolle is an absolute fade. It's a Jocelyn Edwards fight, so probably going the distance, but Jocelyn Edwards to win by decision is going to be the pick. Nora Cornolle is definitely our fade of the day. All right, guys. All of our plays can be found on wagertalk.com. Speaking of UFC, we have a UFC pack that is up right now. 4-0 run in UFC. We hit Dana White Contender Series already on Tuesday. So we're seeing that sport really, really well. You could say that's one of our better sports right now. So we have 2 plays that are up right now in that pack. So go grab that at wagertalk.com. And Road to Millions clients, US Open tennis plays are up. A lot of parlays that are going to be decided today, so we'll definitely be watching the U.S. Open intently. All right, Betting Lab. We're going to talk Ozuna. We're talking about some of the new fights for UFC Paris and TCU team total over 41.5. Steve and I talked about we want to look at college football team totals. We talked about FIU last week going over. They did not. They went under. We also talked about Notre Dame going over. They did. So, Steve, we'll start with Ozuna, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. There's only a few games in MLB. Nothing we really like, money line or run line. But this player prop kind of stuck out to us as something we need to talk about. So what are we dealing here with Ozuna over 1.5 HRR?
Well, Marcelo Ozuna has been on fire. He's cleared this hits plus runs plus RBIs number in his last 9 games. He's hit a home run in 6 of his last 9 games. His batting average has increased by about 30 points in the last 2 weeks. He's just ripping the cover off the ball. And I strongly considered him yesterday for my sleeper of the day. I went with Mitch Garver, unfortunately, who came up to bite me, he couldn't come up with bases loaded more in that game and not get a hit, striking out he even hit into a double play, a home to first double play. But the reason I laid off Ozuna yesterday was
I didn't see the home to first.
Yeah. Bases loaded, it was nothing better, no outs. You hit into a little squib to the pitcher where he's able to easily throw it home and then throw you out at first. Obviously, Garver's not a fast runner, being a catcher / DH.
I'm glad it's not bothering you today.
No, not at all. It wasn't frustrating at all. The game was, it was great to watch him just consistently come up with runners in scoring position and just lay an egg. And then it was awesome when he actually got the extra at bat and extra innings, and they walked him with man on first and second, and that was classic too. That was great. But yeah, so the reason I laid off Ozuna yesterday was that the starting pitcher, he was only 1 for 8 against the starter. Today he's only 3 for 19 against Lance Lynn, but I'm going to set that aside and ride the hot hitter. I should have utilized him yesterday. He hit a home run yesterday, so I would have looked like, we would have looked really good making that play. So on a day when there's only 4 baseball games and a light slate, you could do worse than Ozuna over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs.
You don't have to play baseball, guys. This is also part of the Road to Millions that we teach and that we preach is you do not have to play things today. We call it the power of being bored and the bored bets. When I have nothing going on tonight, I'll just throw money on this baseball game that I didn't properly research and wasn't on my card, and I'm only going to bet it because I'm going to watch it. Like, your bankroll is really, really important, guys. There's no reason to throw out units on, just a really, really bad slate and some unbettable games. So be careful and make sure you're not just putting out bets just for the sake of putting out bets because you're bored. So you got to protect those units. So I wanted to talk a little bit here about the new fights for UFC Paris. We had some fighters get injured. They moved some fights around, and I'm just telling everyone to lay off. So Taylor Lapalus is now going to fight Colin Loughran, and Loughran was a huge favorite. He was going to run through his opponent, in my opinion. Now that's all for naught. So Lapalus gets moved into the slot. Lapalus was a former UFC fighter. He was 3-1 in UFC. He just is not a very exciting fighter. He's worked his way back. He now gets his shot in the UFC. Loughran went from a massive favorite to now the underdog. But the best thing to do is lay off. these guys were training for specific opponents. Now their opponents are different. We don't know what their camps have been like. We don't know what fighting styles they've been ready for. Gomis, he got moved to fight Ghemmouri. Again, just lay off of it. Like, Gomis should win, but we don't know what his training camp was like, and we don't know what Ghemmouri's training camp was like. These guys were ready for different fighters. So just because they get a new matchup and one guy might be a favorite that you're looking towards, it's best to just lay off in these situations when we have these brand new fights. These guys are, the other thing is motivation. These guys were ready and set to get paid for their regular fight. Now the UFC is just doing whatever they can to save the fights, and they're not going to hold a loss against you in these situations. The UFC has done this many times. If someone fights short notice and a loss happens, there's a little handshake deal like, hey, don't worry about it, we'll get you another one. So we also don't know. I mean, obviously these guys want to win, but it's not the end of the world if any of these guys lose these new fights. So it's best to just lay off. Don't bet them, because we just really can't properly research. We don't know what's been going on. So did want to talk about those new fights for Paris. Okay, TCU team total over 41.5. Steve, you looked this one up. It's a huge number, but last week when we talked about Notre Dame, that was a big team total and they flew over it. So in college football, I'm certainly not scared of a big total here. What did you find about TCU, and why are we interested in this team total over 41.5?
So it is a huge total, but they hit this in about half of their games last year, and they scored 38 against Colorado. We're going to be fading Coach Prime in this one. There's a big roster turnover here. He's basically turned over the entire roster, and they haven't played a meaningful game together yet. And now they face the Big 12 champs, a high flying offense. They do have a new offensive coordinator, but he's really aggressive. He likes to keep the foot on the gas pedal. And TCU did lose their starting quarterback, but in Max Dugan. But however, Chandler Morris was their starter last year going into the season. He got hurt in the first game, so he was their choice to be the quarterback last year. So they thought he was better than the quarterback that they just lost. The offense should cruise in this one. It's they're giving about 20.5 points, but I like them on the team total 41.5.
Yeah, let's. We've done good in team totals in other sports, so wanted to dip our foot into the college football. So these are not official plays yet at wagertalk.com. We're going to wait a couple weeks and just see how they're going. But yeah, TCU team total over 41.5 is one that we were looking at for this week. So, all right, we've got our sleeper of the day coming up, but real quick, just want to remind everybody, last day of the month, use the promo code Andy30. Gets 30 days for $159. Next week, NFL plays start. So you lock this in and you're getting the first few weeks of NFL season. You're going to get the rest of the U.S. Open plays. You do get our UFC plays. It includes every sport, including 5% plays. And there are 5% plays coming up. NFL, we've already got our eyes on a few props. Just need the right number. And we may have a 5% soccer play this weekend, depending on that. So if this is your first day joining us, first off, thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions about anything, please leave them in the comment section below. And so what is the Road to Millions? Well, it's our program to help you increase your bankroll exponentially. We bet all of our own plays. We generally use smaller units to build the bankroll, and our goal is 3% a week. If we make 3% a week, we can turn $1,000 into $1 million over the course of a few years, 4 or 5 years. And the rules that we follow, we always keep our eye on the prize about making that 3% per week. We do not chase losses, no drunk or sip betting, and we do not pull money out of the bankroll. Number 4, that is key. Do not pull money out of the bankroll. And I did want to bring this up, Steve. So we did a lesson, I guess, or just a tip about when I had my allergic reaction. I was feeling terrible. And when you're not feeling good, just stay away from the bets. Don't overextend for college football and NFL. I know it's exciting for football to be back. I'm excited for football to be back. Everybody's excited. We do not need to throw out half of our bankroll on the first weekend of college football. We don't. So NFL is the same way. So if you have a good track record of, the first couple weeks of these sports, fine. But if we cash a play in college football and we cash a play on an MLB player prop, the money spends the same. Just keep in mind, we do not have to make a 2% play, a 5% play just because it's the first week of college football or the first week of NFL. So make sure you're just chipping away at those units in the bankroll. College football and NFL, the books make a lot of money in these sports. So just be very, very careful. Just get yourself a couple of units. Don't overexpose yourself with these. Unfortunately, we see it every single year about going way too hard, way too early in the first part of the season. It is a long, long season. Don't forget, we will be betting on these sports after Christmas. So we have a long, long ways to go. So I just want to bring that up to everybody. Like, calm down, manage your bankroll. Do not get too overzealous. We took a couple losses yesterday for Road to Millions in MLB, so we're hovering right around even for the week. We do our bankroll reset day on Mondays. So Monday, when you check in, we'll update our charts and we'll show everybody how our bankroll has done and what we're doing for Road to Millions. We got a really nice weekend because we do have a Formula One race. We want to take advantage of that. We got some CFL plays coming up. UFC looks good. We got baseball at US Open. So next few days are going to be busy. So we're very, very excited about that. I would say if you don't have all access, grab the UFC pack. We're on a 4-0 run. That would be the one thing I would say if you're just wanting to try out a couple plays, grab that. All right, let's do the sleeper of the day. And our sleeper of the day is Justin Steele. Guys, leave us a comment and tell us what you think about this segment. This is a 9-1 wager that we're looking at. He's probably off of a lot of people's radars unless you're a Cubs fan. So, Steve, you found this one. It's got really good value. I did want to pull up, take a look at DraftKings here and take a look at the awards here. So we got Blake Snell, Spencer Strider, and Zach Gallen in front of him. We can break down the three guys in front of him, but I want to talk about Justin Steele here for a second. We got some notes here. So, tied for first in wins, second in ERA. Cubs have won his last 8 starts. I don't feel like you hear him mentioned a whole lot. So what do we like about him?
So there's no clear-cut favorite here, like in the American League with, Garrett Cole. Since Ohtani went down, Garrett Cole's, he's negative 200 or 200, negative more than that at this point. So Justin Steele, he's tied for, like you said, he's tied for first in wins. He's second in ERA, and he leads all of these top 4 candidates in quality starts. And speaking of those quality starts, the Cubs have won. This is the big thing for him with this one, I feel like, is that the Cubs have won his last 8 outings, and he's personally won 6 of these games. He's got the best record of all the candidates at 15-3. And just looking at these other candidates, Zach Gallen, I feel like I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to make the playoffs in the end. They're close to the Cubs in the wild card. This is the big thing here with this Steele pick that makes it worth a sprinkle. If you think the Cubs are going to make the postseason, that will really help his chances at winning this thing. Strider, I feel like would be my actual favorite. He's who I would make the favorite right now. He leads all of these candidates in strikeouts by a pretty wide margin, but he has the highest ERA among all these candidates as well. He's on the Braves. They're clearly going to make the playoffs, but I wonder if Steele makes a push at the wild card, if that really impresses some of the voters. And then Blake Snell, I'm not sure why he's the favorite of all these guys. Out of all these guys, the top 4 candidates, the Padres aren't making the playoffs. He has the most mediocre record at 11-9, and he's also walked the most guys. So, he's got some negatives on his resume. And at the end of the year, when the Padres are out of these 3-4 guys, the top 4 candidates, he's the one that's not making the postseason 100%. So why is he the favorite? I feel like Strider should be the favorite, admittedly, but Steele yesterday was plus 1,200. We talked about him. Now he's down to plus 900 today. I feel like that number gets shorter and shorter as the season goes on, and that his resume speaks for itself. If the Cubs keep winning games that he starts and they make the wild card, this push will build his resume, and he could potentially win this award worth a sprinkle.
I love it. Getting a really nice sprinkle on a 9-1 guy that's got momentum. So that's a great breakdown, Steve, for the sleeper of the day, Justin Steele. It's a really good one. So Justin Steele, you can grab him at 9-1 on DK right now. That's our sleeper of the day. Our fade of the day is Nora Cornolle in the UFC. Paris. I expect her to lose to Jocelyn Edwards. I don't think she's UFC caliber. And of course, if you guys want to get all of our plays and follow along with Road to Millions, use the promo code Andy30. Gets 30 days for 159. That is a smoking deal, but you got to use it today. This promo code gets taken down the 1st of September. So we're recording this on the 31st, last day of August. So go ahead and use that one, guys. That's going to do it for Road to Millions. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. I'm going to be on Wager Talk today at 12 Eastern. I'm going to talk about why I'm going to fade Max Muncy for the Dodgers. We're going to go over a team total in the NFL. Hint, hint, we're going to fade a defense that we've talked about on the show that looks absolutely horrific. And I'm going to actually give out Jocelyn Edwards over Nora Cornolle as a free play on that. So join myself on Wager Talk today. Give us a comment, let you know what you think, and good luck on all your bets today. And we will see everyone tomorrow on the Road to Millions.
Good luck today.